What's going on, guys? CIG have just put out new information on the Drake Ironclad in the form of a Q&A. I held off putting out any content on the Ironclad until we knew a little bit more. It came out as a concept during Invictus launch week. It looks amazing. I love the design. I picked up CCUs to it from a couple of different ships and kept them in buybacks just in case. This thing really suits me aesthetic-wise. It looks like something that could replace other certain ships that I use a lot of, and I just wanted to take a moment to talk about that and the new information. So first off, if you're not familiar, the Drake Ironclad is a concept ship. We do not know when it will be coming out to flyable yet, as is common with Star Citizen. It is a large industrial looking ship. It is designed first and foremost as an armored cargo hauler. It also has an assault variant, which is designed as a troop transport, ground vehicle transport, essentially a combat platform. I think it looks absolutely amazing. This design is so cool. It has a lot of guns, a lot of space, room for a lot of cargo, and I highly recommend you look into the stats on it. But basically, a lot of cargo, a lot of vehicles, a lot of people, just an all-around cool ship. For me, the thing that I think people might be missing is that this could be a viable competitor not just for the C2M2, but also for ships like the Carrack. The Carrack has a lot of fuel. It has modules that might give it things like cargo, ground vehicle repair, drop ship, whatever. The Ironclad Assault, as a specific variant, has all that built right into it. No, it doesn't have exploration scanners, but I would suggest if you have a Galaxy, a Carrack, a C2, and M2, that you look at this thing and see if it suits you better. It has room for a vehicle, has room for a shuttlecraft, has repair facilities for those ships or ground vehicles. I think it looks amazing. We did have a lot of questions, though, besides the stats they gave us here. So besides knowing that it has a lot of fuel, 2 large quantum fuel tanks, and a lot of guns, we didn't know some key things. They've answered most of those questions here. So when asked, what ships does this compete with? The answers were, the Liberator and the Hercules, the C2 and the M2 being the closest on-paper competitors, as the Liberator is a dedicated carrier or vehicle transporter and will likely excel more, whereas the Ironclad seems more like a multi-role, but that's sort of the Drake way of doing things. People were asking, could it be used as a mini carrier? The answer is yes, but keep in mind that the bay has unique metrics. Because that roof does not open all the way, there's kind of a section that's blocked, you'd have to be real careful. I don't think you're fitting anything much larger than a Pisces in there, but the ability to carry a medical Pisces gives it medical facilities, or a medical Ursa, or a couple of Furies in a medical Ursa. There's a lot of functionality in this thing, and it looks good while it's doing it. The biggest question we were being asked, does the Ironclad Assault also have an opening roof? It wasn't clear from the original sales brochure. Yes. Confirmed by CIG, roof does open. Keep in mind, no tractor beam, which is the next one they address, but they also address it here. So functionality is reduced as far as cargo goes. Does it have atmospheric flight? Yes. Has VTOL. It's Drake. A lot of their ships do. I think almost all their ships do. So that's going to be very handy for vertical liftoff when that atmospheric flight becomes more of a thing in Star Citizen. Is there an armory in the Assault? They haven't shown it yet, but their answer is yes, it's coming. It'll likely go up where the lockup for cargo is on the stock Ironclad. I think that's a really cool idea. I think if you're flying with a lot of people, you want an armory. When everything's physicalized, it'll be handy. Again, competing very well with something like the Carrack, the M2. The Ironclad Assault has a repair bay as an installed feature. Can it repair more than just vehicles? Can it also repair ship components? And the answer from CIG is yes. They don't differentiate. It might be a size restriction, but any part that could be repaired at vehicle size can also be repaired at ship size. Now, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, yes, but that's the answer to the question. People were asking about self-destruct, mainly because the ship has a detachable command module. They are separate. So if you destruct the ship, you will have to run to the command module to escape in it, and vice versa. You'll control the self-destruct from the control room, not from the command module of the actual main cargo part of the ship. The command module is shared between the Ironclad and the Caterpillar, which blows my mind because the command module on the Caterpillar has 4 size 3 guns, I believe, whereas it only has 2 size 2s on the Ironclad. So I foresee a lot of people taking this ship out and intentionally looking for damaged or derelict caterpillars to take their command module, go fix it and attach it, because you'd be giving your Ironclad more firepower. That's not really a thing in the game yet, but we're going that direction, and I could see myself having an Ironclad and seeking out that command module. Sure, it wouldn't be insured. If I lost the ship, I'd lose that module, but 4 more size 3s, I wouldn't say no. If you detach the command module, can the Ironclad fly on its own? No, it cannot. Pretty self-explanatory. It's not a ship. It's a giant bay attached to a very small ship. How will insurance handle detaching of the command module and loss of the main ship? They haven't figured that out yet. They're basically saying we're working on how that's going to look. So they don't have an answer for us in that. Does the command module have a quantum drive? 100%. Yes, it does. Is the ship's heavy armor actually heavy? How is that represented in game, since there aren't really any armor mechanics yet? And basically they're saying relative to ships of its size class, it will be heavily armored. And when that is implemented, when physicalized armor is implemented in the game, we will see that show with the Ironclad. So a heavily armored ship with cargo, room for vehicles, room for crew, room for a medical ship, detachable command module, a lot of guns, and a really cool industrial look has me very excited. Does the interior turret act as a tractor beam or a defense turret? So inside the Ironclad, at the back of the main bay, there's a mounted gun. It is a defense turret. So you open that big bay door, and you've got a friend standing on that gun covering that entrance so nobody can sneak on your ship or take your cargo. Does the Assault have tractor beams? The second biggest question that was asked. No, it does not. You've swapped out the tractor beams for firepower. That's your choice between the two. If you want a tractor beam to move your big cargo as everything's becoming physicalized, pick up an MPUV tractor, just buy one in game as soon as it's available in in-game shops, park it in your ship, you're good to go. A couple of max lift tractor beams, something like that. You don't need them on the ship, but that's the answer to the question. How will gravity in the cargo be handled? I'm not going to read the whole question, but essentially, once the interior engineering of ships comes online, that bay will not be pressurized when the door is open. It's a Drake ship. They don't really go for bells and whistles. It's not shielded. So if that opens, it vents that hangar. So you'll have to wear appropriate gear. Will we have magnetized boots or plating? I don't know. But keep in mind that it will not be a fully contained portion of the ship. It's a big open air thing. To me, I kind of like that. This thing, through and through, to me, looks like a Belter ship from The Expanse. It's cobbled together from parts. It's heavily upgunned. It's sexy. I like it. I like the fact that you open that up and you got to be in a spacesuit. No comfort. And that's it. That's the big questions that were asked by the community and were touched on by CIG. I guess, oh, you know what? I missed one. Can the Ironclad be used as a mini carrier? Basically, the answer there is yes, but very unique dimensions. So keep that in mind. They touched on that in another question, but this is a separate one here as well. Am I going to get one? I don't know. I'm not big on purchasing concepts, but I did use some store credit, and I did pick up a Galaxy to Ironclad Assault CCU and then melted it. My Carrack was made from a Galaxy discount CCU chain, and so if I fall in love with this thing, I could melt my Carrack, buy back the Galaxy, and upgrade for very cheap to the Ironclad Assault, and recoup a whole bunch of store credit in the process. But with all these guns, all this fuel, armor, lots of shields, like so many shields, I'm thinking this looks like something that I may want to have in my fleet, whether that's pledge or in-game, I'm not sure. But there you have it. The Ironclad Assault, new concept ship from Drake. Hercules, Carrack kind of size, designed for cargo or combat. It looks like it's going to be a home for people. It looks like the kind of ship that you would have a crew that just lives on board all the time once bedlogging is back for your crew. And I think it's going to be a really unique ship, whether you own one, or you're boarding one, or you're crewing one. Finding one of these derelict and searching through the corners for boxes and loot and stuff is going to be immensely fun, in my opinion. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me rant. And I will have 2 more videos coming this week on the state of the game, as well as a couple of gameplay streams. I look forward to talking to you guys then. Fly safe.